pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a few special presentations tonight.
Tonight, we are recognizing 3 people for their contribution to the community. And the first recognition is for Alan Kroc. So if you would come up, Alan. So tonight, we're recognizing Alan for his service to the community on our treasured Fanny Chapman board since 1997. Wow. Now, Fanny Chapman Swimming Pool is managed and operated by the Board of Managers of the Fanny Chapman Swimming Pool. And by ordinance, it is regulated that members of the board can serve no more than 2 consecutive 3-year terms and are eligible to serve for an interval of at least 1 year. So Al, who was appointed in April of 1997, serve 2 full terms, and then he would just take off for a little while and then apply again. And has served the community and Fanny Chapman up until last year. Al was actively involved in the 75th anniversary of the pool in 2002, and is once again enthusiastically involved in planning for the 100th anniversary next year. This certificate of appreciation is presented from council and myself for his long-standing dedication to the pool board and our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know why you keep having me back.
Pretty much tiled your kitchen by now with those.
And then the second 2 people we were going to recognize are Doreen and Judy Stratton, icons in our community. So would the 2 of you come up? Doreen and Judy are always getting recognition, and I'm getting emails from John. And finally I went, you know, they're our Doreen and Judy Stratton. And so in light of that, for in honor of Women's History Month, we are honoring Doreen and Judy as Doylestown's Sister of History. And well, what I would like to do first is to have our town crier, Harry, come forward and read your proclamation.
Hear ye, a proclamation of the Borough of Doylestown. Good people of Doylestown, gather close and lend thine ears. In this season of Women's History Month, the Borough doth call forth to honor 2 remarkable daughters of our town, Doreen and Judith Stratton, known to many as Sisters of History. Know ye that the Stratton family hath long planted its roots in this fair borough. In the year 1887, their family came to dwell at 186 East Ashland Street, and in 1923, Lily Stratton did purchase that house in a part of town once called the lesser side of Doylestown. Yet, from that humble place hath risen a home the sisters proudly call a woman's place, where the spirit of advocacy and civic duty hath long flourished. Any traveler passing their house need only glance upon the signs displayed there to see their call to conscience and their steadfast encouragement that neighbors take part in the life of their community. Let it be known that Doreen Stratton did long time serve faithfully as a committee person and hath long labored in the public life of this borough. She is also a devoted keeper of history, sharing the stories of the Underground Railroad and the Lenape people of this land, and was among the first to serve upon the borough's Human Relations Board, fostering fairness and goodwill among neighbors. And let it also be known that Judith, called Judy Stratton, a master gardener of great care and skill, has spent more than 25 years protecting the beauty of this town through her service upon the Shade Tree Commission, safeguarding the noble trees that grace our streets. She likewise tends the Ashland Street Community Garden and lends her hands to and heart to the Village Improvement Association and the historic James Laura House. Thus, through many years of stewardship, advocacy, and faithful service, these sisters have shown what great good may come when citizens devote themselves to the well-being of their town. Now, therefore, know ye this. By the authority vested in the Mayor and Borough Council of Doylestown, we do hereby proclaim and recognize Doreen and Judith Stratton as our Sisters of History and offer our deepest thanks for their lifelong devotion to preserving our past, strengthening our community, and inspiring those who shall follow.
That's nice.
given under my hand and the seal of the Borough of Doylestown this 16th day of March in the year 2026. God save this borough and the good people who dwell herein.
Oh, that's nice.
Now, I think you would like to speak.
Good evening. Thank you very much to everyone who was responsible for giving us this award. As an avid gardener, it seems a little silly to get an award because we always pat ourselves on the back every time we pull a weed or prune a tree. But I am truly grateful for the recognition and hope to see all of you out in your gardens. Thank you very much.
My, this was really nice. Thank you very much. I for once, I don't know what I want to say. It's just that Doylestown has been my home. I went away for 10 years and came back and found that I had said to myself, well, I'll stay here about a year and then, I'll go on back to California. I'm still here and still very busy. There has been so much that has happened to me in my life since then, and I hope all of you will be at the big award ceremony on Thursday to hear all the things that happened to me over the years. Thank you so much for this award. You want a picture?
Photo up.
Photo up. Thank you.
Give everybody a second to get back in place. And next item on our agenda is the approval of minutes from our February 23rd, 2026 council meeting. Do I have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Amy, Ms. Popkin. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mayor, do you have anything tonight?
No, I have no report.
Okay, Mr. Brown, Public Safety, what do you have for us tonight?
Yeah, we have a few things. The first thing on the agenda is consideration of ordinance number 2026-3, raising the 15-minute limit parking fine. Patch, please find the above referenced ordinance, which raises the fine for exceeding the 15-minute parking space limit from $10 to $50. Council authorized the advertisement of this ordinance at their February 23rd, 2026 meeting, and the ordinance has since been properly advertised. Public Safety Committee recommends that council adopt ordinance number 2026-3. If council wishes to follow the recommendation, it can do so motion by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Kinney, I believe it was. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is consideration of ordinance number 2026-4, restricting the sale of kratom and Delta-8 THC. Attached, please find the above referenced ordinance, which restricts the sale of kratom and Delta-8 THC to persons under 21 years of age and prohibits sales within 1,000 feet of schools and playgrounds. Council authorized the advertisement of this ordinance at their February 23rd, 2026 meeting, and the ordinance has since been properly advertised. The Public Safety Committee recommends that council adopt ordinance number 2026-4. If council wishes to follow the recommendation, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
Second. We have a second by Mr. O'Hanlon. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
In addition to the fire company report, which is attached, there were, let me see, 32 calls in the borough in the month of February. I also wanted to let everybody know that Pancake Day is this Saturday, the 21st, from 6:30 to noon at the Firehouse on Shule Avenue, and tickets are $10 for all-you-can-eat pancakes and sausage. Also, that the Emergency Preparedness Communications Board had another very well-attended Neighbors Helping Neighbors session here. And thanks to Councilperson Amy Popkin for being part of it. The board will meet on Monday, the 23rd at 7 p.m. right here, and the main topic will be the CERT team organization. That's it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Public Works and Administration, Mr. Kinney, what do you have for us tonight?
Thank you, Mr. President. We have several items for consideration by the council this evening. The first is an authorization to advertise bids for the West Court, West State, Clinton Street Signal Modernization Project. Attached, you will find an advertisement for bids for the modernization of the traffic signals at West Court Street, West State Street, and Clinton Street, otherwise known as the 6 Points intersection. It is anticipated that the work would start in June 2026 and can be completed by the fall of 2026. The estimated cost for this project is $594,000 and will be partially funded by a $340,995 Green Light Go grant. The remaining $253,000 cost will be borne by the borough's capital budget. Currently, $109,000 is budgeted for this project. However, due to additions and changes to the scope of the project, additional reserve funds of $144,000 will be used. The Public Works Committee reviewed these documents and are recommending council authorize the advertisement of the bid. If council agrees, it may do so by motion, and I so move.
Second. Had a couple of seconds. I think it was Mr. Lerone. Excuse me. Yeah. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none. I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item on the agenda, Mr. President, is the 2026-2027 landscape maintenance proposal. It is recommended that Borough Council award the 2026-2027 landscape maintenance contract based on a co-stars contractor to Gorcon Incorporated at the price of $94,100. If council wishes to award the bid to the proposed contractor, it can do so by making a motion to award the project to Gorcon Incorporated at the price of $94,100 over 2 years, conditioned upon receipt of a properly executed performance bond and compliance with the bid specifications. Gorcon Incorporated held the contract for 2024-25 seasons at the price of $83,100. And I so move the approval of this award.
Second. Second. Ms. Wyckoff, thank you. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is approval of bids for road materials work by the borough in 2026-2027. Bids were publicly opened and read on February 24, 2026 by the Bucks County Consortium for the purchase of road materials for the 2026-2027 season. The following is a tabulation, which is on the screen here, of the four most purchased materials. Based on these materials, the low bidder is Eureka. Last year's low bid was also obtained from Eureka. The Public Works and Administration Committee has reviewed the bids and is recommending the award to Eureka Stone Quarry Incorporated. If council wishes to follow the recommendation, it may do so by making a motion conditioned upon receipt of a properly executed performance bond and compliance with the bid specifications. For reference, Eureka held the 2025 contract with the following prices, which are slightly lower than the existing price. And I so move that the council accept the recommendation of the Public Works and Administration Committee to award Eureka Stone Quarry with this contract.
Second.
Second by Mr. Brown. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is the Doylestown Fire Company tax-free motor fuel use and reimbursement agreement. Attached, please find the above referenced agreement allowing the Doylestown Fire Company to use the borough's fuel pumps at the Harvey Avenue Public Works facility for their vehicles. The Public Works and Administration Committee and borough staff are recommending that council adopt the agreement. If council wishes to follow the recommendation, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Brown, I think it was. Any questions or comments from any members of council? I do have one. We recently had, I don't want to call it an issue, but something came up with, we have that arrangement with the police department. And as a result of having to do some upgrades to the pumps and so forth, we shared that cost. Is there any provision for doing that here?
There is not.
Okay.
We don't anticipate that.
This is strictly gas and, okay.
It's a volunteer
This
fire
is-
company, obviously different than an entity that
Yeah,
we
this is
fund.
strictly unleaded fuel and diesel fuel for the fire department's vehicles.
Okay.
There is no cost to the borough. The cost will be passed through other than, but there is no anticipation of sharing any maintenance costs for the facility itself.
And it's a straight pass-through cost.
That's correct.
Any other questions from council? Hearing none. Any questions from the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the last item on the agenda is the Public Works Monthly Report, which is included in your packet, and that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Kinney. Community and Government Affairs, Mr. Bell, what do you have for us tonight?
Thank you, Mr. President. Community and Governmental Affairs did meet, and we have no matters for council.
Thank you. Zoning and Planning, Ms. Jarrett.
We did meet, obviously, this month. First on our agenda for the Planning and Zoning Committee was the, the Doylestown Historical Society easement. So in 2001, Doylestown Borough entered into an agreement with the Doylestown Historical Society and Jonathan Rudolph, granting the borough an easement for use as Historical Society Park. The easement extends to the existing building wall. Planned restoration of the recent building fire includes a 90-square-foot building addition. Despite being legally included in the park easement, this 90-square-feet area is not used as part of the park. The Historical Society has requested an amendment to the easement to facilitate the proposed addition. The easement amended will not interfere with the use of the park, and a copy of the existing easement and proposed amendment is attached in the packet. The Zoning and Planning Committee recommends that council authorize the amendment, and if council is in agreement, it may do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Ms. Popkin. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And, sorry, my screen is of course acting up now. Oh, seriously, come on. Yeah, there was,
You have the land development waiver now for me?
yeah, sorry, it was, no, my screen was working perfectly up until this moment, so, sorry. There we go. There we go. All right, thank you. And thank you for your patience, everyone. Next, we have an application for land development waiver for the Doylestown Historical Society again. That is at 56 South Main Street. The Doylestown Historical Society is proposing to reconstruct the portion of its building destroyed by fire in 2025, and that is to the rear of the building. With this reconstruction, the 90-square-foot building addition is proposed at the rear of the building. The Planning Commission reviewed the application on February 24th, 2026, and recommended approval. The Zoning and Planning Committee is recommending approval of the application conditional on the following: that the applicant resolve any outstanding water issues with the borough engineers, outstanding issues in the borough water engineers and borough water department review letters to the satisfaction of staff. 2, that all proposed plantings comply with the borough's list of approved plantings. 3, that the applicant enter into the usual land development waiver agreement in a form satisfactory to the borough solicitor. 4, that in all respects, the project comply with the applicable local, state, and federal regulations. If council agrees, it may grant land development waiver approval by carrying a motion to do so, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Kinney. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next up, we have the Font Hill Conservation Easement Letter of Support. The Heritage Conservancy and Doylestown Township are preparing an application to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, the DCNR, to acquire a conservation easement on the Font Hill Castle property. Doylestown Township would serve as holder of the easement, and Heritage would serve as the co-holder. The Conservancy has requested a letter of support from the borough to be submitted with the application, and a draft letter is attached in the packet. The Zoning and Planning Committee recommends the manager be authorized to issue the letter, and if council is in agreement, it may do so by motion. Would you like me to read the letter into the record, or is that okay to just have it in the packet?
And if you wish, it's really up to you.
I'll ask the president on his preference.
It's in the packet, right?
Okay, yeah, it is. Great. If council is in agreement, it may do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Popkin. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And next, we have the authorization to advertise zoning ordinance defining and regulating smoke shops, hookah bars, and cannabinoid retailers. Attached, please find the above referenced amendment to the zoning ordinance. The ordinance creates new use definitions for unregulated cannabinoid substances retailers, regulated cannabinoid tobacco store, and hookah bars. The ordinance also limits the location of these uses to the RC zoning district and prohibits them from being located within 200 feet of a residential use or district. The hours of operation, age requirements, insurance, emergency systems, and other design standards are also addressed in the ordinance. The Zoning and Planning Committee recommends authorizing advertisement of the ordinance, and if council is in agreement with the recommendation, it may do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Bell, I think it was. Any questions or comments from any members of the council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next, I have the zoning hearing board report, and I will leave that for Ms. Highland to.
Thank you, Ms. Jarrett.
Thank you.
The zoning hearing board will be meeting later this week. It is this Thursday at 7 p.m. here at Borough Hall. They'll be hearing 2 applications that evening. The first is for 109 Cottage Street. The applicant is proposing an addition to the rear of the house, an addition to the front of the house, as well as a carport in front of the existing garage. They're requesting dimensional relief to enable that project to move forward. The next application that the zoning hearing board will be hearing is for 164 East State Street. It is for an addition to the existing building, as well as for the construction of a new garage with living space above. And they are requesting dimensional relief.
Thank you, Ms. Highland.
Mr. President, I believe we have 2 folks registered for public comment that relate to this, to one of the items in the zoning hearing board report. I'd like to call in Ms. Adrienne Kleintop. Would you like to come forward and?
Come up to the microphone, please.
Yes.
Yeah, that one right there.
Right where you're
Yeah,
at.
right where you are.
Just making sure. My name is Adrienne Kleintel, and I live at the property right next door to 109 Cottage Street. And so, along with my other neighbor, Teresa, we actually have filed a complaint against the 5 variances. And so I could go into detail, but to summarize what the complaints are about. So one is that the requested variances would have an impact on the neighborhood, and particularly the historic nature. And then also that it would disrupt the uniformity that's shown between different yards. So all of the houses end around a similar time, around a similar point, and then also have patios. And then this addition would extend past the patios of all of the neighboring properties. And so in addition, the application doesn't really establish any hardships. Instead, they're more self-imposed hardships, like the desire to have a certain size, for example. And so 2 of the variances are for the size, and there's 3 variances for the side setback. So we do question the distance that's listed in the application. They say it's 9.7 and would be reduced to 6.5. I think it may actually be less than 9.7, and so the setback would be maybe like 5 feet, for example. And so the variances for the setback especially would set a precedence for other properties as well. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or.
Does anybody have any questions?
Ms. Highland's also available to answer any questions you might have about the application itself.
I guess I'd like to ask the question of Ms. Kleintop. Do you understand the role of the zoning hearing board and and then also the role of Borough Council for requests like this? If not, Ms. Highland would be glad to explain that to you, or Mr. Davis, or Mr. Griffin. I got it right the third time.
Yeah.
Aaron, why don't you take a shot at it?
Sure. I know I emailed one of you about this earlier this afternoon. Zoning Hearing Board is a quasi-judicial board. They're independent of Borough Council, and they have their own solicitor that guides them through running the meeting, as well as their decision-making. When an applicant requests a variance, the applicant is tasked with proving to the board itself that there is a hardship. It's not necessarily the borough's role to determine if there's hardship. It's the applicant has to demonstrate they have the burden of proving that to the board. Anyone who would like to claim party status can do so if they meet certain requirements. I would assume that being directly next door and one over from directly next door would put you in that category. You would then be entitled to ask questions to the applicant. You can put on testimony, you can call witnesses yourself, demonstrating how it adversely impacts you, not necessarily, and you can say whether or not you believe it meets the hardship thresholds as you've described this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Do you plan to attend the hearing? We would
Yeah.
certainly urge you to do that.
Yes, I
Absolutely.
plan to attend it.
Now, Ms. Highland will be at the hearing, and she's always helpful if you have questions as the process goes on. Any resident that wants to be heard, and make sure that you're able to be heard.
Okay,
There will
thank you.
will be a solicitor there, and I will make sure that you have an opportunity, and the solicitor will also make sure that you have an opportunity to voice your opinion on the application.
Okay.
Borough Council's
Thank you.
primary role is to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to be heard,
Okay.
any resident.
And just to reiterate, it's on this coming Thursday, the 19th, at 7 in this room.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Ms. Highland, did you say the solicitor would be there?
The board solicitor will be there, yes.
Understood.
We also have Ms. Teresa Stelzer. Ms. Stelzer, did you like to speak as well?
So thank you for this opportunity, and I will be brief because Adrian covered quite a bit, and we submitted very detailed objections to the variance request this afternoon, 2 separate memos. The objections, as Adrian stated, are to the side yard setback and also to the percentage of lot coverage. There is significant encroachment already in the side yard setback, as Adrian stated, and the proposed side yard setback is approaching nearly 50%. Also, there are comments about the unusually narrow landscape of that lot, and that is simply not the case in the zoning map in the R2 historic district, and also all over the R2 district. There are many narrow lots. This lot is actually a bit wider than ours. And then it's also the introduction of noise and so on and so forth with where the HVAC is placed in adjacency to the property of 115 Cottage Street. I will be at the meeting on Thursday as well.
I know also Ms. Highland has a copy of I don't know if she's forwarded it to you yet, but she does have copies of the letters that were received today.
I've got hard copies this evening, and
Grab one anyway.
some of you have received copies directly from the neighbors here.
Thank you for your consideration. We came this evening so that it's recorded and entered in the record.
Thank you. Mr. President? Yes. May I comment? Sure. Okay, thank you. I want to thank the 2 residents for sharing their thoughts. When we had our zoning and planning committee meeting, this matter came up, and whatever reservations we had about the application, we did not consider sending the solicitor for 2 principal reasons. One is that there were no neighbors who raised concerns, and secondly, we were advised that the solicitor, the objection of the solicitor would not sway the zoning hearing board. So the first factor has changed because subsequent to that meeting, Ms. Kleintop contacted me, and we had another resident who contacted Councilmember Popkin. Thank you for doing that. And the other was, I was just kind of reflecting on the argument that we shouldn't send the solicitor if there's any doubt that we would prevail. I mean, to me, that's why you pay solicitors. And we have some good ones. So in retrospect, I believe that we ought to send the solicitor to represent the interests of the borough, not the interests of individual residents. I've lived on Cottage Street a long time, and I've met lots of nice residents. I have yet to meet the Lindner Family Trust. I'm sure it's a nice trust. But I do meet residents, and so I'm here because I was elected by the individuals who live here who are looking to us to represent them. So with that, I would like to make a motion to send to send the solicitor to represent the borough and to contest this application.
For a second. Call. Do we have a second? Not hearing one.
They're right here. They came out in the rain at night, and no one's going to second the motion to put it to a vote?
I would, just for council's edification, it is possible, if you will, you can adjourn to executive session to discuss this matter. It is a right that you have if you see fit.
I mean, to just,
Motion to adjourn to executive session.
Yeah, that's
We need a
correct.
vote to do that either.
I'll make a motion to adjourn to executive session because while I do not disagree with what Mr. Bell's sentiment here is, I I guess I'd like to be a little more clear on reasons to and reasons not to send our solicitor to zoning hearing board meetings, although I have a general feel for it. This is a situation that the residents came to us after the zoning and planning committee, which met last week. So I make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn to executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We shall return. Can I use Bob's second?
All right, so just for the public, we just convened in a brief executive session to discuss pending legal advice in litigation with regard to the application that's going to be before the zoning hearing board on Thursday, March 19th at 7 p.m. With regard to 109 Cottage Street and the application of the Linder Family Trust.
I move that we send the borough, I did it again, that we send the solicitor to the zoning hearing board on this 109 Cottage matter.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Jarrett. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Do we need a roll for that?
Typically, we would call the roll on a split.
Okay, all right, let's do that.
Okay, yes vote is in favor of sending the solicitor to represent the borough's interests. Is that the?
Yeah, that's the motion.
Mr. Bell?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Nay.
Ms. Jarrett?
Nay.
Mr. Kinney?
Nay.
Mr. LeBron?
Nay.
Mr. O'Brien?
Nay.
Mr. O'Hanlon?
Nay.
Ms. Popkin?
Nay.
Ms. Wykoff?
Nay.
Motion fails.
That wasn't so hard, was it?
So next we move on to the HARB signage recommendations, and we do truly welcome you at the zoning hearing board meeting, and they'll make sure you're heard. Certificates of appropriateness for the HARB recommendations. First, we'll start with a sign application for 20 East Court Street. HARB recommended that the application for a certificate of appropriateness be accepted as submitted. On 51 West State Street, the HARB recommended that the application for a certificate of appropriateness be accepted as submitted. I'm just doing this one in two parts with the signage. The Zoning and Planning Committee recommends that the council approve the applications in accordance with HARB's recommendation. And if the council is in agreement, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
Oh, a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye. And in addition to that, we have the code enforcement report and the building inspection reports in the packet. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jarrett. Environment and Rec, Ms. Wykoff, do you have anything?
Yes, just a few things. Attached for council's consideration is a lease agreement for the use of Chapman Park by Doylestown Athletic Association's volleyball program. The Environment and Recreation Committee reviewed this item at its March 5th meeting and is recommending approval. If council wishes to follow the recommendation of the committee, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
Second. We have a motion and a second by Mr. LeBron. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. I'd like to call, any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next, in your packets, please find Resolution 2026-2, adopting Doylestown Borough's Local Climate Action Plan, the DCAP, as an amendment to the Doylestown Borough Comprehensive Plan. A copy of the DCAP and a summary of its short-term high-priority recommendations are also attached. The municipality's planning code requires that amendments to the comprehensive plan be adopted by resolution following a public meeting held by the Planning Commission or Joint Planning Commission/Environmental Advisory Council in this case, distribution to the county planning agency, school district, and adjacent municipalities, and a 45-day public comment period. There have been no substantial changes to the proposed local climate action plan since the Planning Commission's and Environmental Advisory Council's recommendations for adoption. The Environment and Recreation Committee recommends that council adopt DCAP as an amendment to the comprehensive plan. If the council is in agreement, Resolution 2026-2 can be passed by motion, and I so move.
Second. We have a motion and a second by Mr. LeBron. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none. I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Lastly, attached you will find an advertisement for bids for the repair to the main pool bottom at the Fanny Chapman Pool Complex. The project is estimated to cost $190,000 for the base bid, which is the shallow end portion, and an additional $120,000 for the alternate bid, an additional area in the deep end. The Fanny Chapman Pool Board and the Environment and Recreation Committee reviewed these documents and are recommending council authorize the advertisement of the bid. If council is in agreement, it may do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Kinney. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Lavrone, Water Utility, what do you have?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. We did meet this month, and we have one actionable item. And so council got the memo from, to Borough Council from our Director of the Water Department, Jerry Matoso. And the issue is, or the topic is approval of Sixth Amendment, to the intermunicipal agreement between Doylestown Borough Water Department and DTMA. And I'm going to read the three items that are in the body of the memo because there was a clarification for item number 2. So I'm just going to read these three into the record. Number 1, the Water Committee has approved the motion to proceed with approval of a Sixth Amendment to the intermunicipal agreement between Doylestown Borough Water Department and Doylestown Township Municipal Authority, DTMA, at the March 10th, 2026 meeting. Number 2, this is the one that was clarified from the original memo. Number 2 says, amendment pertains to the conditions of service for the Arcadia at Doylestown 3 development in Doylestown Township located at 280 North Broad Street. And that's the one across Broad Street from 333 North Broad. That's under construction right now. And then number 3, the Water Department recommends and supports approval of this amendment. So I guess I should be making a motion, and I will, to approve this agreement.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Popkin. Any questions or comments from any members of council?
I just wanted to ask whether it's necessary for either John or Andrew to explain what we mean by this Sixth Amendment. It's a 5-page. You all saw it if you read your packet.
It's pretty straightforward. Does the intermunicipal agreement that governs our relationship with Doylestown Township Municipal Authority and our conjoined water systems requires there to be a separate agreement at any point when a development or property in one community is served from another. In this case, it is the property that you mentioned on 280 North Broad that's served from Broad Street, which is in the borough. The property is in the township.
It happens to be the 6th one of this type of amendment.
Happens to be the 6th. They're not all related to interconnections, but
Right.
there's the 6th Amendment to the original agreement. And in this case, you've already entered into an agreement with the developer of the property some months ago to resolve that matter. And this is simply the accompanying agreement with Doylestown Township Municipal Authority to kind of validate that agreement and to satisfy the terms of the intermunicipal agreement. We did look at that. We obviously had some questions and concerns about how that went down. We have some issues we do want to clarify with DTMA, and we have talked to DTMA at council's request about taking a look at the agreement itself, that maybe it's time that it needs to be just rewritten so that it clarifies certain items, and they've been very receptive to that.
Yeah.
And the amendment agreement has been written in such a way by Andrew that it does not, we do not concede any of the positions that we've taken in the discussions about this connection, and in anticipation of continuing those discussions with regard to the kind of the refresher of the intermunicipal agreement. So it protects our interests, recognizes something we've already agreed to, and moves the ball down the road.
Yeah, thank you for that explanation. I just wanted to make sure those of council and the public that, those of you that are not on the Water Committee understood a little bit more about this. So that's the end of my comment.
Thank you, Mr. LeBron.
Yeah, just,
We have a motion pending?
We have a motion in second. We have to,
I'm sorry, Mr.
yeah,
President.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, just,
You have to vote.
you have more questions?
yeah, just another comment to piggyback on what Mr. Davis and Mr. LeBron said. This agreement, which I think is appropriate, notes particularly that immediately upon the execution of this amendment, which is the Sixth Amendment, the party shall engage in good faith discussions and negotiations to create a comprehensive successor intermunicipal agreement that supersedes and replaces the existing one. And I think I just wanted to comment that the immediacy of that, I think, is important for us to understand that this isn't just something that's going to, devolve into the ether, that a new agreement is going to result from this. And as the language in this is written, and I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, and I would just note, I've been in contact with their attorney, who's Mr. Lebowski. They are committed to renegotiating, and my understanding is they have this on their agenda for Thursday, and then we'll get started.
Oh, thanks for that.
Thank you.
And thanks for your work on this amendment.
Any other questions from council? Any questions from the public?
Member of the public.
Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that's the end of my report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Popkin, Finance and Pension.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance and Pension did not meet this month, but in your packet, we do have the finance report with the monthly bills, and I'll turn that over to Ms. Brinker.
Thank you, Ms. Popkin. Everyone's been provided with a copy of the finance report for March 16th. It includes payables and payroll. The total for all funds is $1,228,607.55.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Jarrett, I think it was. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions from the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Personnel, we did meet this month on March 3rd to interview candidates to fill student member vacancies on various borough boards, the term May 2026 through April 2027. We also considered reappointment requests. At the conclusion of these interviews and upon discussion, the Personnel Committee is recommending the following. Appointments to the Emergency Preparedness and Communication Board for Beckett Walton and Samuel Breen. Appointment to the Shade Tree Commission for James Cunning, and reappointments on the Park and Rec for Tucker Brennan and Human Relations Commission for Abigail O'Mara. If council wishes to follow the Personnel Committee's recommendation as stated above, it may do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Bell. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from hearing none? I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Professionals report. Mr. Doherty, what do you have? Anything?
Thank you. I have nothing to report tonight.
Okay. Andrew, you have anything?
No report this evening, thank you.
Chief, anything for us?
No report. Thank you.
Thank you. I do not have a president's report. Do we have any items of old business? Do we have any items of new business?
Mr. President, I'd like to inquire of the chief if there's been any update on the autopsy for the gentleman who passed away at near West High School.
Yeah,
Any other information you can provide us about that?
Yeah, we have limited information on that because, as you know, it happened in Doylestown Township.
It's happened in the township.
Not in the borough.
Right.
So, yeah, it was not our investigation.
I see, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
It was over at the training fields on
Right.
the township side.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. President, I just wanted to give a shout out to the Public Works and Park and Rec Committee for the Raven Cam that is now live streaming on YouTube of the Raven babies in the Public Works building.
Thank you.
Nevermore.
Any other items of new business? Any open public comment? I don't think so. We do not have an executive session. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all. Good evening, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's.